Gretchen?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Scott?
Here.
Waters?
Here.
Capron? Here.
Okay, well, this is great. I don't have a pre-council opening deal here. I move we go into closed session of the city council to discuss strategy with council about matters where litigation is imminent because public disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of that city in that litigation.
Second.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Gretchen?
Aye.
If I have it, I'll
Waters?
Here.
Capron?
Here.
Gretchen?
silent prayer, and then you guys can lead us in the pledge, okay?
Thanks. So you know that it's on that.
I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it. I read it.
Did you get the one from the marquee?
Yes.
Okay.
Amen. Go ahead, guys. You want to point the flag's right here, guys. There you go. Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I have Jennifer McCabe. Jennifer, are you here? Another proclamation reads, whereas brain injury is a serious public health epidemic affecting at least 5.3 million Americans living with long-term disability. And whereas an estimated 2.4 million children and adults in the U.S. sustain a traumatic brain injury, and another 795,000 individuals sustain an acquired brain injury from non-traumatic causes each year, and currently more than 3.1 million children and adults in the U.S. live with a lifelong disability as a result of traumatic brain injury. And whereas many of our soldiers have reported symptoms related to concussion and brain injury, including slow thinking, memory loss, sleep disturbance, attention, concentration deficits, and brain injury, which is the leading cause of disability among soldiers returning to their communities. And whereas a concussion is also a serious brain injury that can occur without loss of consciousness and can occur in any sport, and recognition and proper management of a concussion when they first occur can help prevent further injury and even death. And as many as 3.8 million sports and recreational related concussions occur in the United States each year. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2018 as National Brain Injury Awareness Month in Sioux City, and encourage all citizens to enhance public awareness of traumatic brain injury and salute the mission of the Brain Injury Association of Iowa. I'd like to present this to you guys and say a few words if you would, okay?
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, thank you for having us here. As members of Opportunities Unlimited, we just want you to know how grateful we are for the support that not only our local and community leaders provide, but really members of all of our community. As a nonprofit organization, we've been serving people with brain injury and other special needs for nearly 30 years, and we're honored to be able to do so. Through our residential and our rehabilitation program, we serve nearly 40 people every year in that program alone, not to mention another 150 individuals from our community that have brain injury and other special needs that access intermittent services from our organization. Our community's been great. There's a lot of local support, and I think it's important to share with all of you that not only do we appreciate the support that our community gives us, but as good stewards of the Siouxland community, we want to give back. And so we've been very vested with some newer programs that are very popular in our country. We've been really increasing the number of people with special needs through Iowa Voc Rehab and the job coaching services that we provide. We provide skill development and respite services to those with special needs. And we all have some other community programs that we feel are very valuable. From brain injury alone, we want to try to prevent brain injuries where as much as we can. So we have a program called Got a Brain, Get a Helmet, where we arm second graders in our community with bicycle helmets and education to try to prevent those brain injuries. For 3 years now, we've been working with the Sioux City Police Department and local Dairy Queens for a program that Rhonda actually brought to our attention, and that program's called You've Been Ticketed. And so we catch people, kids primarily, wearing helmets and practicing good safety techniques, and they're able to exchange that ticket for a treat at our local Dairy Queens. And there's a number of other things that we do. So we want to give back to our community. We do a lot of volunteer efforts and activities because we know people with brain injuries want to be viable community members. And so there are many ways that they're able to give back, and we are committed to doing so. Susan Von Drack works along with me in a lot of our different programs. And Susan, you might have a few words as well.
Thanks, Jen. That it makes us feel good, right? Well, we want that for our person served. Let's face it, they get a lot of community help, a lot of federal help. So it's great for them to be able to feel good about giving back to the community. So some of the things that we do are, we do Parks and Rec, we go clean up parks, we go to STARS, adaptive riding, and we help whatever needs they have. We go to the Humane Society and help them with the caramel apples. Any kind of things in the community that we can do to help, we want to join in and help. So,
I think one of the things that does surprise many people is we're one of about 20 organizations throughout the entire country who is ACBIS certified. So we have 20% of our employees have completed a rigorous training program specific to brain injury and have completed a national assessment. So arming our staff with that additional education only elevates the quality of the services that we're able to provide to people in Northwest Iowa. And I think that's a special mention that catches a lot of people by surprise. We proudly serve veterans. We have a special contract with the called the ALTBI through our Veterans Administration. So we proudly serve our veterans. And just last week, we had a group of individuals represent OU at the State of Iowa Brain Injury Conference. And at that particular conference, we had one of our individuals, Diana Gonzalez, receive the Young Professional Award for the State of Iowa. So this governing board recognized Diana and her contributions at Opportunities Unlimited, at being vested in serving people with brain injury, and really doing a lot of things over and beyond to make sure that excellent services are provided. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good work. We'll go on to the consent agenda, which today is items 3 through 11D. You can consider that they pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is asked for by a council member. If you do want to speak on any of these items, please come forward as I read them and state your name and address for the record. If you want to speak on an item not under the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
2 is a reading of the City Council minutes of February 21st and 26th, 2018. 3 is a resolution fixing fees for services provided by Parks and Recreation and rescinding Resolution 2017-0486. 4 is a resolution supporting the submission of an IEDA application for workforce housing tax credits for 2017 Sioux City Morningside Partners, South Ruston and South Helen Streets.
Mayor and Council.
Just a minute. I have to read the amendment. Request amendment, and it should be read. Resolution supporting the submission of the Iowa Economic Development Authority application for the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program for 2017 Sioux City SC Morningside Partners LLC, 2627 South Ruston Street and 2728 South Helen Street, and Warrior Hotel Limited Partnership, 505 to 525 6th Street. Go ahead.
Mayor and Council, Chris Myers, Economic Development Specialist. We were asked today to add the Warrior Hotel project to this resolution. As you may or may not know, the Iowa Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program has seen an overwhelming amount of requests for funding, and they have told us that they are putting deadlines on the program now, as opposed to just having an open window for anyone to apply at any time. And because those windows were brought down in kind of short notice, the developers of the Warrior Project brought this to us today because they need to have this resolution to support their application by Wednesday. So that's why this is coming to you at the last minute.
I'll move the amendment.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
I have a moving amendment 1 to the contract with IEDA and Cloverleaf Cold Storage. C is a resolution awarding a contract to Bainbridge Construction for the emergency water main at 2008 18 repair project. D is a resolution awarding procurement contract to DMT Clear Gas Solutions for the renewable fuels membrane and desulfurization procurement project upon approval of the necessary permits by the IDNR. 8 are actions relating to property. A, resolution setting dates of consultations and public hearings on the proposed amendment and restated urban renewal plans. A is the Teton Urban Renewal Project Area. B is the CBD Urban Renewal Project Area. C is the amended Downer Park Urban Renewal Project Area. D is the combined Floyd River Urban Renewal Project Area. 9 are purchasing. A is a resolution awarding a purchase order to ARI Phoenix for the purchase of 4 mobile lift stations. B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Hawkins Inc. for the purchase of sulfuric acid for the water treatment plant.
I had a question about that one.
One supplier, there's only 1 million of them that sells sulfuric acid, but
That was actually exactly what my question was going to be.
I didn't want to bring it up, so I'm gonna let you today.
All right, I'll hop into that role. Can you just talk a little bit about why only 1 bid was returned?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Brad Pitts, Water Plant Superintendent. As it states in the RCA, based on the hurricanes in the southern states, they're still having issues with production and being able to ramp back up and get enough product out there in order for more of our suppliers to receive that product. Our previous supplier, DPC out of Omaha, was unable to get the NSF certified product for that reason. So at this point in time, Hawkins out of Sioux Falls is the only supplier that's able to get that product and able to get it to us and make sure that we get it in a timely fashion.
Okay, and so you're telling me we're kind of backed up against the wall, we need this in a timely fashion rather than putting it out again, or
They are
waiting for other
supplying
bids, or?
They are supplying us the product right now, being they were the only bidder for the product. And with the circumstances at hand, we believe that it's a good bid and we have no reason to go out for rebid at this time.
Okay, I mean, you understand why that's uncomfortable, right, though, about having 1 bid? Similar to what the mayor's saying, I mean, I just don't like that, I don't feel comfortable.
I don't know if Spiro can speak to the numbers or not, but typically these bids go to 10 or 15 vendors on our end, so they're all looking for business. If they're able to provide the product, they do submit a bid. Unfortunately, for this product at this time, that's just not the case.
You know, the bottom line is there's not much that we as council can do if you don't get the bids in. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard spot, especially in this case, when you really need it.
This product, with it not being so available, the prices are a little bit volatile as well. If the prices increased after the first quarter, we may be back here again asking for council approval to increase the price as well. So that may be in the future. We just don't know.
What was the price last time, Brett?
I don't recall offhand.
But that price is held for a year, right? Or no, is that not what you're saying?
Typically with all of our chemicals, we like to do yearly contracts.
Yeah.
Again, with the uncertainty of this product, we're bringing this forward for approval now at this price. With that being known, I'm letting you know that from our supplier, they're telling us that the price could change at any time.
Really? So you start buying a product from someone and then they're like, by the way, it's gonna increase?
Well, at least they let us know ahead of time and instead of springing it on us, but Again, we need the product. It needs to be NSF certified, and this is where we're at this point in time.
And so is there any opportunity then we go forward with this and then look into other companies just as they become more available? I mean, is there any way that then he's down the road?
I believe that if the price does change, we will rebid it again.
Right, we had a similar issue with the hurricane back in October it was, where the supplier basically came to us and said they had to raise the price, and went up slightly, but in this one, we're actually bidding out another one too, where they said their prices are gonna increase.
Don't they have to sign a contract, like for a certain amount of time to the price?
Right, we do pricing agreements for 1 year, I think,
Yeah.
due to extraordinary circumstances like the hurricane. That's the only reason I think we would bring it to.
Which hurricane are you talking about? We haven't had one for a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know which.
Yeah, I don't either. That's,
What they're referencing?
If we were not hearing the same thing from all of our suppliers, which they're hearing from their suppliers, we may be able to dig for a little more information, but.
how much storage do you have? How many months?
Probably up to a month and a half, I would
two or
guess.
three
If we filled those tanks completely full, we'd have about a month and a half.
In Florida had issues.
So are you filling the tanks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then I suppose you're saying then if they come back and say they're gonna raise it, then could put it out to bid or ask if other people are available then.
Yep, that's what we will do.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen.
10 are applications for beer liquor license. See the list, come forward if you have any questions. 11 are receipt of minutes. See the list, come forward if you have any questions. Or that concludes that. We'll vote by electronic. Passes 5-0. 12 is a hearing and resolution determining an area to be blighted and rehab in the area is necessary and designating the area as appropriate for urban renewal in the combined Floyd River Urban Renewal Area. I'll move that.
Second?
Renee Billings, Economic Development Specialist. Mayor and Council, items 12 and 13 on tonight's agenda refer to the arena project. I'm joined by Mike Hesse, Jeff Carlson, and Dustin Cooper, who are the developers of the multi-sport complex. And we would just like to provide you with a quick update on the project. As you know, the developer's original plan was to invest $8 million to construct a 68,000 square foot facility on 4 acres of city-owned land in the former stockyards. After identifying a large sanitary sewer easement and electrical easement on the site, which restricted the buildable land on the site, they came with a proposal to realign a portion of South Lafayette Street to the west side of the property in order to move their footprint of the building to the south to avoid the easements. In this map that should be on your screen, the blue highlighted area outlines the existing South Lafayette Street, and the yellow outlines where the future proposed road would be realigned. The developers will be responsible for constructing and dedicating the new portion of the street prior to the city vacating and selling the existing right-of-way for construction of the building. This will allow for continued access to the south for the existing business in the area, along with construction to begin to start on the Baumgars Expo Center. In this next slide here, I have outlined the footprint of the building in orange, where you can see it kind of goes right over top of that S-curve. The pink lines on the west and the east, or the top and the bottom of your screen, are the easements which they had to work around to avoid in order to build their building. A large portion of South Lafayette Street will remain intact. It will be used as an access drive that will continue south on past the Baumgars Expo Center and connect to the South Lafayette Street on the south side to create a continuous loop for traffic flow. So we're not completely eliminating what's there. And then the blue line on the right side of your screen would be the proposed property line. So everything to the left or the north of that line would be sold to HCC Enterprises for the development of their project. So they would be responsible for constructing everything to the north of that line. As plans have progressed over the last 30 days, the project has grown to over 80,000 square foot facility and an investment of over $13 million. So I would like to invite these gentlemen to provide a little bit of an update on the actual facility.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to thank Bob Padmore, Renee Billings, Mayor Scott, the entire council, other city officials that have been involved for your belief in our vision of this project and also your belief in us. It has not been lost on us, and we very much appreciate that. Can you go to the next slide? As the project has grown, the southwest corner of the building, this will be the first thing you see as you're driving into Sioux City. We feel that this is we're incredibly pleased with how this turned out. I mean, the entrance to Sioux City will be epic. I mean, this is going to be a stunning visual as you enter our city. This would be the actual arena portion on that side. As you move around the building from the, if you want to go to the next slide. From the northwest and northeast corner, we would be calling this more of our academy area. So in the arena portion, you're going to have 3 basketball courts, 3 volleyball courts. On the academy side, you will have 2 basketball courts, 4 volleyball courts, and a performance center. So this will be kind of both views. This will be actually the view you're going to see as you're coming southbound down the interstate. The beautiful thing is from a southbound traveler or northbound traveler, this is what they're going to see when they come into the city. As Hard Rock kind of expanded our city to the north and utilized space that wasn't formerly being used, we feel that we are going to widen the cityscape and just beautify the cityscape to the south. Love to walk you through a little bit of the building here. Obviously, the southwest corner is your bottom left-hand corner here. That is going to be full 50 feet floor-to-ceiling windows. You have a nice common space as you come in. It's very important for us to have a very comfortable and attractive experience for people when they come in. We've got 100 youth teams that come into our facility. We want them to be able to spread out, to feel like they're comfortable in the area. The main arena court is going to be as you walk into the right there into those doors, and you have 2 other courts that are going to be there as well. The nice thing about that, and the functional space there, we'll be able to provide seating when we do have youth tournaments or leagues or camps, and all 3 of those courts are utilized. We also have seating for 3,000. So we can, the functionality of that space is literally you can host everything from a 3rd grade tournament or 3rd grade league all the way up to a Division I college basketball game and everything in between. You'll see as you kind of start to move through the facility, on the first floor, you kind of see that rectangular square box. That's going to be more your typical concession area, which will serve similar, or pretty typical concession type items. However, if you look above that, on the 2nd floor, one very unique thing that we're going to have that we can create atmosphere, create an experience to where we feel people are going to come to this building, they're going to enjoy this building, and they're going to walk away saying, man, that place in Sioux City was just awesome, is kind of a more food service establishment. So it'll be limited menu, but it's not going to be your nachos and taco in a bag. This is going to be, we're going to have nice menu items to where people want to stay, they want to sit and watch games. One other cool aspect we're going to have is we're going to have closed circuit videos, so you can be literally sitting up there in that area. If you're a college coach coming to watch an AAU tournament, we'll have flat screens where you're going to be watching the Duke North Carolina game on one, and you're going to be watching Court 5 on the other, because all those courts will have closed circuit video. So just really enhancing the experience for people coming into the area. As you continue to move through the building, you kind of move into our academy area. You'll see 4 locker rooms kind of in the main central hub. We've got conference rooms, we've got media rooms upstairs. The functionality in those regards is we're going to work with local institutions in regards to curriculum, being able to host coaches clinics, being able to have access for teams that are coming in to video boards, whiteboards, and things like that. Just really enhancing the experience of coming to the arena in Sioux City. You'll see kind of that beige pink area is actually our performance center. That is going to be where our athletes here locally and throughout the surrounding area can come to train for performance training, whether that's strength and conditioning training, agility training. We're going to have state-of-the-art equipment there. There's actually going to be a turf and up to close to a 40-yard dash up there for agility training. We're bringing on people that are nationally renowned in this field that we are very lucky to have in Sioux City, and we think that's going to be a game changer for athletes in our area.
Is that in the pink there?
That's kind of in that pink beige area. And so if you can imagine the wall there is no wall. There's kind of a half wall looking into the arena area. Into the academy area. So basically it's going to be very open and grand so everyone can see what's going on. The cool thing about this building is from a functionality standpoint, we can be hosting a major high school basketball event in the arena area while holding a coach's clinic upstairs in the media rooms, while doing performance training for our youth here, while doing batting cages and volleyball training in the academy area. It was very important to us because we are obviously doing this for our kids, that even if we're hosting outside events or major events, the building is on the same playing field with with other kids in like communities. We all are local guys, we're homegrown guys. We had big dreams. Obviously, this is a big dream right here, and we're making this dream a reality. We want to make the dreams of the kids in our community a reality. And through this building, we're going to do that. Open it up to any questions.
Undoubtedly.
You know what here's what I like about it. I like everything about it, but it really comes from your heart, and you're investing your kids in it and your families and Sioux City, and that's what I really like about it, because it's going to make it, and it's going to make it great. And you guys I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I mean, and I know the rest of the city does too, because it is a game changer for Sioux City also. So kudos to you guys, and from when I first started talking to you till now, it's almost doubled.
Yes, it has.
And
Yes, it
and
has.
what you've wanted to do. So this is just another great thing that's coming to Sioux City, and we've needed this for a long time. So thank you.
Well, we appreciate that. And, you talked about when we first sat down and had some coffee and kind of talked about the idea, it has doubled. And it's doubled because it needed to double. We need to have something that's marketable, that when folks come in and they experience that, they want to come back. They want to have access to those facilities. Our kids deserve it. They deserve to have that, and we're going to make it happen. So appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember when I proposed we should shut down the convention center and put it there.
Yeah.
So do I.
Well,
Everyone scoffed at that idea. There must be, if you're gonna invest this kind of money, there must obviously be a demand here in town for that. Thank you for recognizing it when some of the others of this community scoffed at the idea, not you, but I got a lot of flack in the outer greater community, and I think, I still almost wish it were gonna be right downtown. I think it would serve I think it would draw a lot of people to downtown. We're a little disconnect, but yeah, I know.
it's close, yeah.
Good luck, guys.
It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Great
very much.
proposal.
We're still on 12 then, right?
The motion and a second on item 12.
Yeah, just need to vote. Passes 5-0. Is a hearing and resolution accepting the proposal of HC Enterprises for the purchase of land in the combined Floyd River urban renewal area and authorizing a development and minimum assessment agreement for property located in the 500 block of South Lafayette Street. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. Hearing and resolution adopting the annual budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019, and for FY 2019 to 2023 capital improvement project. Where with this levy will the taxes be on a $100,000 home?
The taxes on a $100,000 home, second, 829. 816,
What's that?
816.
Yeah, but where is it going to be from a year ago?
$6 reduction or $8?
It is a -5.
$5 reduction.
Okay, and so we are not changing our budget because of what's going on in the State House.
That would be up to the council. We have some options in front of us. We can always come down from what we certify to the county between now and June 30th, but we cannot go up. So if House Bill 2081 were to pass and we were to lose approximately $665,000, we would either have to make that up with additional revenues, this 19 budget.
Well, personally, I don't want to give the legislature any reason to believe that we've caved in on this deal. They made a promise. They said you will have so much economic growth that you won't have to worry about this, and here we are with no economic growth. So my vote is to leave it right where it's at, and if we have a problem in this budget cycle, I will be glad Cranstead stood beside us and said, I'll veto any bill they send to me that has that type of de-appropriation, and this governor ought to stand up and do the same thing. Deals are made to be honored. And so I would hope the governor, and I don't care if the news media reports it, does the right thing, and that's to veto any bill that compromises this, which is going to happen, because we have to give tax relief to Iowans. Well, property taxes are some of the highest in the country, so we give income tax relief to those people that can afford to pay their income taxes, and we cut that backfill so that people that can't afford their property taxes can pay more, and I'm tired of it. But the rest of you can raise that levy if you want, but I will be glad to point out when we have to make midterm adjustments why we're doing it, because of the state legislature and their infinite wisdom.
Well, the only problem with waiting to make midterm adjustments is it probably will result with this dollar amount in the loss of jobs. And I think it would be more prudent to prepare. I understand your point, Mayor, wholeheartedly, and the problem is we're not going to be in a position to do anything with this because we have to approve or
And you know what?
have
The
a
legislature should have passed the bill, or they should wait until next year to appropriate.
I wouldn't argue that, but what happens if they don't? And I haven't had an update since the one that the city attorney sent out to us dated March 2nd, and I know it's,
Went to the state.
yeah, well, it's the Senate Appropriations Committee now has it.
It passed out of committee
Oh, it
last
passed out of the
Tuesday.
Senate
Yeah.
Appropriations.
Out of the subcommittee, did it pass out of the Appropriations Committee too? That's not what this says dated March 2nd, but,
No, it's passed out.
It's passed
so
out of
it's
committee.
just up to the House to deal with it now?
The Senate to deal with it. It's a Senate file.
Well, and if they pass it, then we'll go into,
Yes.
so,
I guess I was unaware it passed out of the
No, there's-
appropriation committee.
I didn't think it did either, but I didn't know.
What's that? It passed out,
I don't think it's passed out of the full appropriation committee yet, though.
passed out of the committee. It has not passed the Senate yet, I don't think.
Passed out of the
And
subcommittee.
it doesn't matter whether they send it to the House, because the House is doing their own bill they're not even looking at the Senate bill. So,
But we won't have an opportunity, I guess that's my argument, we won't have an opportunity to prepare in the event this bill is passed, because after we certify, we can't do anything until next year.
No.
And as I understand it, it's 2/3 of, in 19?
1/3 is going away
They'll
in
backfill,
19,
yes, and 2/3 is going away in 20.
right? And then we will have no backfill in 21.
And that's a significant amount and could result in a lot of cuts,
Right.
unfortunately. Or you make up for it by increasing property taxes, which I don't think any of us want to do. So I mean, we're in a bad situation.
Right. We have today and next Monday are the only 2 days we have to take action on this budget.
So Mayor and Council, you do have the option, if you'd like, of deferring this 1 week to see
That's
if
correct.
anything happens in the next week related to that bill.
nothing's gonna happen. They will be glad to allow us to pass a budget and be short on cash. They will be happy to make that happen for us. They will not pass a bill till after the cities certify their budgets. I guarantee you. They will not
And
do
every
it.
city has to be certified by the 15th, right? March?
Cities and counties have to be certified by March 15th. School boards have till April 15th.
The school board's in on this too.
That is
They
correct.
get backfill, and the county's in on this. And now there's a senator who's proposing the smaller communities will take less hit, but the bigger communities will go ahead and get the full hit. So,
Seems awful speculative to me, and I wouldn't want to bet on what the state will do. I really don't. I mean, I would hope they would honor and fulfill their agreements with the cities, but my hope might not come to pass. But I tend to agree with the mayor. I mean, I think we're showing our hand to the state saying.
No, I agree. I'm just thinking we need to prepare, but.
And I see both sides of that issue. I think that it's really complicated because you don't want to show your hand and say, fine, we will raise the tax levy and increase the tax burden on our citizens. And we'll cover that and give them essentially a green light saying, see, we told you they would raise it, so we're gonna go ahead and pass this. But I also understand Pete's concern that, okay, so we don't, and we certify we're leaving the levy where it's at, and then down the road we have to cut 600K. And then we're talking about people's jobs and steep cuts on different organizations and departments. And I think that that's challenging as well. So it's almost as if, look, we're looking at giving you $5 worth of relief with the budget that we have proposed. And if you increase the tax levy and say, no, it's not actually going to be $5 back, it's going to be what? Wouldn't that be then $8
increase?
$8 increase. And then you're saying, well, you know what, City of Sioux City, we were actually looking at giving you a $5 break this year, but your elected officials down in Des Moines decided otherwise, and you can thank them, or I don't know, go to the ballot box.
They never remember how they got the $8 on their property tax. It's always because of us. And I'm not willing to do that today.
Didn't we run into a similar issue with the utilities on I-29 and what we had to do with our?
We started out with a 14 million and it just escalated.
It kept increasing?
Yeah.
And Des Moines
That
got a
was by
special
millions.
appropriation.
I would prefer
lots
that we
of millions.
lobby our legislators to do the right thing.
Good luck.
And not
Well, I
just
know,
us.
good luck,
Us
but
as
still.
council can do it, but we
Well,
also
it-
need people out there to do it too.
We have drafted a letter and they've all been contacted and we will continue to do so.
I'm with Bob.
Well, I would be fine in waiting, and I don't know, are you saying then, Dan, you'd be game for deferring it, lobbying harder for that week, or just saying, no, we're gonna pass the budget the way we have proposed and urge all of our citizens out there to lobby as well?
Well, that makes more sense. Because a week is not gonna matter to the state.
They're not
In
going
fact,
to
they're probably
act.
waiting for us to do our thing and
They
then,
want to see how many cities are willing to accept this by doing it. That's what they're waiting for. If half the cities blink, I mean, they could put that tax in decrease off for a year. Do the right thing. Make us whole this year. Give us time to plan. But they're going to wait and see how many, and if half the cities in this state blink, guess what? I'm not blinking.
I'm not blinking. I'm not gonna be bullied into
Do we have
this
a
because
motion
that's
and a
exactly what
second?
they're doing.
I'll move it.
Second.
I didn't have a great week with our legislators
And-
last week on a couple items, and
And this is, we're back to the original action item?
Yes.
To
Yes.
approve, adopt the budget?
We're at 16.0707, which would be a negative $5 on per 100,000 of residential.
Well, I think the legislature's sending messages. They talk about currently a $7 billion budget, and they want to cut $1 billion. I'm not sure they're going to blink, but, or they're going to back down, but I don't think it's
How are they gonna cut $1
appropriate.
billion out of their budget? That's what I want to know.
Pardon me?
How are they gonna cut $1 billion out of their budget?
I have no idea, but it's
Yeah.
in the paper about every other day.
Well, they can't find $50,000 that they didn't have to steal from the emergency fund, and now we're talking they're gonna cut $1 billion.
Well, did we not have two local senators also vote for this already to take it out of committee? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's.
I said I had a bad week with our local senator.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Not sure really, but I understand.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and
I'm a little bit of a worrywart.
And I hope that our media does a good job
That was
with
red light
tonight's
cameras?
council meeting, and I'm sure you can ask the
No,
city
oh.
manager for that letter that we've drafted as a council. I think that they should be putting up there. These are the elected officials that are voting to increase your property taxes. These are the senators that voted to already pass this.
Well, I agree. And
I'm not sure our senators
Yeah, I-
voted for this because it was in subcommittee and I think the subcommittee.
No, I'm not sure they did either.
Yeah, I think,
They
Red light
voted,
cameras.
but they voted on red light cameras.
Yeah, I think that's, I got that confused. I apologize.
So
But
this is
I would
only
just say-
passed out of a subcommittee. It hasn't gone to full committee yet, as far as I know.
Want to call if you don't want to see this happen.
We will continue to do that, and if it looks like it's going to progress, we would also then begin lobbying that if.
Senate passed their bill, House passed their bill out of subcommittee. The Senate's already, I thought the Senate had already passed it.
yeah, out of subcommittee.
No, you didn't read, listen.
Oh.
I was gonna say, I think it
Senate
passed.
passed their bill. House bill passed out of subcommittee. So the Senate's already passed it.
That's what I thought.
Well, then it's closer than I thought. But I do think it, it not only is council, and I know we're working through the state lobbyists, but,
Because that's what I thought the legislative.
and us sharing our opinions, but everybody, I think everybody that, any letters to get the legislature to take a closer look at this and to continue the backfill program would mean a lot to our community, and without it, I think quality of life suffers and level of service suffers, and that's not what we want to do. We're moving forward, doing a lot of great things in the community. I think the city, both public and private, and I hate to see anything get slowed down. So that's why, again, you know me, I'm a little bit of a worrywart, but.
Well, that's good, and I believe in planning too, Pete, but it just seems too speculative for the type of budget we have in front of us. And maybe 1 week, I don't know, Mayor, maybe 1 week something might break during the week, and we could do our lobbying efforts and bring it back a week from today to see if there's anything different, at least wait till the very last minute that we possibly can before we make the decision.
I'm just telling you what Taylor just told me. I won't be here next week, but that's, I'm just telling you what he said.
It'll be my first one I've ever.
Taylor, good one.
You're excused.
Taylor, good one. Taylor, good one, son.
Get me off the hook, I guess.
What do you think about waiting the week to wait till the last minute, just to see if anything breaks and step up our lobbying efforts?
No, I want to vote today.
Well, I'm just throwing that out.
I don't want them to.
No, I know, that's
I
what I
feel like I'm
thought.
being
That's
bullied.
what I
Why
thought.
wait? Because the ending is not going to matter anyway. I think we should vote for it today and then deal with it when it comes, because it's not going to matter. We got to deal with it either way.
But to Pete's point, then you're saving jobs. If they would pass it through the House in the next week, and we have to come up with 600K, we can creatively have that week to do that, rather than, okay, well, now we are stuck with this no matter what
No,
happens.
I don't
Mayor
think
and
so.
council, it's still in the Senate. It's not, as the mayor said, it's not gonna get to the House before March 15th.
No.
I also agree with the mayor, if the city solved this problem for them,
Yeah,
they
it makes it
will, they
easier to
will
pass. yeah.
eliminate the backfill.
I get that.
What we would lobby is, if it looks like this is gonna happen, we would at least lobby that they allow us to reopen our budget and recertify our budget.
If they don't do that, that tells you they want
Yeah.
cities to have a problem.
Yep,
And
I
I
would
want
agree.
them to send that message to the rest of the state.
And I think that's appropriate. If they're gonna do that, they should then allow us to reopen our budget and recertify based on the law in place that they approve.
Yeah, we did
That's-
we did publish our budget amendment at a higher tax rate, so we do have the ability then to go back.
Donna, do we know specifically what we'd have to cut if it did go? I mean, you talked about the jobs, but aren't there other areas where we could save money possibly?
We would have to go through the CIP. I mean, we would open up both CIP and operating, go through everything that we're using cash for to try to come up with the money. I mean, jobs would be our last option. But with that kind of dollar amounts, I wouldn't stand up here and say we wouldn't do jobs.
Well, don't get me wrong, I'm not happy about this because I even think our existing budget today doesn't go far enough for infrastructure improvements, but I'm willing to go with it just to, to do what we have to do for this coming year and try to improve and try to increase what we're spending on infrastructure. But, yeah, it's just a terrible spot to be in, but.
Yep.
I agree. I just don't want it to be speculative on my part.
So when you certify a budget, then when do you send what you actually want over to the tax asking bodies?
We have to have it over by 4:30 on the 15th.
Yeah, that's my point. So it doesn't, if we certify this higher, if you published higher and we accept that, it's not like we have all this long time frame.
I can come down from the amount I certify. I have between now and June 30th to come down. I can't go from now and June 30th.
We vote, the rest of you vote no, then will be another motion, that's all. So I'm gonna vote no.
Yeah.
Unless you think a 1-week deferral would be to the benefit, but I guess I don't see that either.
No, I don't think so either. And there's no language in the bill that I'm aware of that will allow the cities to certify.
I would think the cities would have a strong argument that if budgets have been approved and certified and the rules have changed, that they be allowed to reopen.
Remember that school districts have to certify by April 15th, and there's been years the legislature didn't know the allowable growth at that point in time, and they still made them certify.
Yep.
So they're not gonna give us a break.
Yeah. And the bill in its current form does not have the
No,
recertification.
they
in it.
know exactly what they're doing. Passes 5-0. 15 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specifications from the City Fuel Island Project deferred from February 26, 2018. The city attorney would like to offer a little legal advice as to what we did wrong last week, and so we have to put this off, or do we have to delete, right?
We have a couple of different options. Because the hearing date was deferred, the bid opening or bid receipt date was the Tuesday after last Monday's council meeting. We did collect bids, however, we did not open them. We kept them in a sealed envelope, and they're in the safe down in customer service where we're holding them. We have two different options. We can republish notice with an addendum of the bid date. However, it creates a few issues for us going forward. The other option is we can delete and come back on a condensed schedule. The bids will not be exposed, and it would be rebid, readopted, and moved through the process if the council chooses to do that. And Dave probably can give us a better idea on.
And that's what I'd recommend we do, because it's not going to change whether we just re-advertise and put an addendum out. I think it creates a little bit of a issue if we have an addendum after the bid date, extending the bid date, and then another party comes in and submits a bid. I think if I was one of the original bidders, I would think that seemed a little fishy, so I think we're better off going all the way back to the adopt process and condense it. I think we can adopt it, and then we'll submit it to the plan rooms on the 12th, adopt it, submit it to the plan rooms on the 13th, which would allow us to bring it back on the 26th for the hearing and collect bids on the 27th.
We'll have to
double
that sounds
check
about
that.
right, but we have to double check our notice provisions to make sure.
I move
that
we
we're-
delete, and you guys do what you
I'll
gotta
second.
do.
And I did want to, two things. Number one, I wanted to, again, apologize that if I didn't do it correctly and I took you off guard, I should have texted you and called you about that previous to bringing it up. It was just something that I really wanted to address and hear your opinion of what we could do. So we're thinking proactively, of looking at different locations. I know the mayor had a couple additional locations, and we went out, we drove around to all the different sites and kind of brainstormed what it could look like. I think that we as a city need to make sure that we're thinking 10 steps ahead and what we want to do, and we talked about some of that. We even looked at Headed Park and what the opportunity is to move those baseball diamonds, because I think we would agree that that's not a great area either. I wouldn't want my kids or driving down those roads and different things too. I think if we could look at basically flopping them, like you and I had talked about, if there's an opportunity to move some of our equipment to more stable ground and then move something that's a lot lighter, like the ball fields to the existing location, I think that that's something that I know this council member would be open to. I think that I've spoke with other members of council, and I think that we have quite a bit of worries about the status of those buildings and their ability to be worked in, and I think it's sometimes to the detriment, and it would make me nervous if my office were in those buildings. And I think we as a council saying that and going, I understand the necessity. Again, you and I talked about the changing of the filters, the additional cost there, the additional cost if something would happen to the engines of these different vehicles. I get that. And so I understand that this isn't a huge cost at this point in time to at least get the pad and the above ground tanks that are mobile and able to be transferred to a different secondary location. But expedite and move this process. It sounds like something that you said when we visited, that it's been a long time coming. We've talked about moving it. We've talked about these other secondary locations or talking to different groups and property owners in that area to see what can be done. But I think that the time is really coming that we need to start making those plans and start actually putting it into motion. There's only so long you can kick the can down the road. I mean, so I appreciated your time. I'm sorry that it loused up kind of this process here. I appreciated your time going down and driving and talking about that. I hope that this council will take a long, hard look at what we can do to get people out of danger in those buildings.
I do have a question. You overlaid your parking, your fuel farm on that park ground or Humane Society site. What was it, like 2 inches short of what you needed? Because to me, it looked like you overlaid it and you had plenty of room. You put an overlay, I saw.
Oh, no, all I did, that was just identifying the site. That wasn't.
No, then you laid out, somebody sent me a deal that was laid that out as to how much it took. And it looked like that what you needed laid over that.
I thought you were just outlining the property.
No.
Yeah, I was just outlining what I sent was just an outline of the site.
Okay.
Saying this was, I didn't see anything where someone put.
Because you were identifying the multiple locations across the street versus on the corner versus.
$350,000 extra concrete to do this project. Amazing. Amazing to me for something we're gonna abandon. I mean, go down, put it behind the new Humane Society so trucks can drive up, make a loop, do something, but it's not gonna pass. I mean, I know the council's gonna vote for you, but it's a waste of $350,000 plus moving it, not very distant future. Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Well, the estimate, the engineer's estimate is 75,000 for the foundations. So I don't know where the 350,000 for the.
That's how much concrete you're gonna have in that. How much you think the whole project's gonna be?
They have an estimate. The engineer's estimate is 567,000, and for the special foundations is 75,000.
$575,000 for the special foundation.
The special foundations is 75,000.
Oh,
The
well, we'll
total
see.
project is 567.
Okay, we'll see.
Well, and I've heard that someone say that estimate's low, but I mean, I can't say till we open the bid, so.
Okay. Sounds good.
And we can always turn it down too, if the bids are much higher or way off from the engineer's estimate too.
I agree with Councilmember Waters' comments too, Dave, and so this project won't in any way delay what we're trying to do with finding another location
No,
and constructing a.
no.
And I mean, I think. We're just gonna abandon $565,000. If you think you're going over to Headed Park to do it, go right behind the animal shelter. You could drive either way in and out.
Yeah.
But again, I still think it fits on the park ground there, but
On the park ground.
it doesn't matter.
No, where?
On that corner, but they say it doesn't, so.
We'd be queuing out onto the street.
Back up into the street is what it's saying. He showed me the way that I understood it, is that there's plenty of room on there to have the pumps and people drive through. It's just you're gonna back up on the property versus if you put it on the other side of the building, or if you go over by Headed.
Why would you back up?
In the morning when the buses and the different trucks are queued up to get fuel, we'd be backed up onto the street.
But I'm fine. Can we do that then? Can we at least, if we think that the engineer's estimate is low and we look at the bids once they come back and we.
You can always reject the bids, yeah.
Exactly. We can just see where it's at then. And then maybe in that time, I mean, I know we went out and drove by it. If there's an opportunity for if we can move it right behind the existing Humane Society or wherever.
Well, put it all the way. I think it would be, if you're gonna put the fuel islands out there well before the buildings and have them out there by themselves, I think might be then every shift or morning or whatever, our guys are driving all the way over there to fuel up and come back. It's just adding time and taking away from their work schedule, but.
Well, it's probably like 2 minutes from the current location. I get it. I'm just
It's already
saying.
done. Let's just vote. Let's go. We got things to do today.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
This is to delete.
Aye.
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 16 is a resolution supporting submittal of a letter to support the state of Iowa on behalf of, that's going to be scratched, MedFund Dispensary in Sioux City. Staff recommends a resolution supporting the location of a medical cannabidiol dispensary in Sioux City. And before we have public comment, I want to make a comment. The mayor did not sign a letter. The mayor did not agree to sign a letter, as reported on one of your stations over the weekend. The mayor said he would not sign a letter until the council voted on this, and I want the council to understand I did not do that. Now, go ahead.
Mayor, just to summarize before discussion starts, there is an amended resolution. What it does is it removes any apparent support for any one firm. We've been made aware there are multiple firms in the state of Iowa that are all applying for one of the 5 licenses. So what your action today, if approved, would just allow staff to provide letters of support to anyone who should choose to present to the state of Iowa.
Name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Mitchell Wright, and I live at 15 Gilman Terrace. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. I was born in Sioux City and went to elementary school here before my parents moved the family out of state. I didn't ever expect to come back to Sioux City, but last year my wife's work brought us back here, and I'm glad to be here. I'm also glad to see this opportunity for the community to have a chance to have a cannabidiol or CBD dispensary in Sioux City potentially. I think this would be a very measured, reasonable step forward. It's a positive thing for the community and possibly being able to address some of the medical issues, chronic pain, inflammation, possibly post-traumatic stress disorder, various things that CBDs may be useful for. And I'd like to emphasize that CBDs are not psychoactive marijuana components. They have no effect on a person's cognition or their mood. They have physiological effects. I should say that I lived in Colorado prior to coming back to Sioux City and spent the last 6 months of my employment there working for a temp agency as a licensed worker in the legal cannabis business in Colorado. So I do have some insight into how the business works there. We're not talking about legalizing marijuana, obviously, but possibly encouraging the licensing of a single CBD dispensary, and I encourage you to move forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Aaron Bushart, Iowa Cannabis Company, 400 East Court Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa. I commend the mayor and the council for considering more than one company for your recommendation. And as that has been changed on the agenda, that really satisfies the reason that I am here today. But just hoping that we can see a fair shake to all involved and all the companies that are applying in this community. And we're very excited about the opportunity to join you here in the community of Sioux City and provide cannabidiol to the patients here and serve your community. Thank you.
What's the name of your company again? I'm sorry.
It's the Iowa Cannabis Company.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Rachel Rose, 2643 South Mulberry Street. I'm here today to talk a little bit about why I would like to see the mayor and the council support opening a dispensary in Sioux City. This is something that's very personal to me. I am the mother of a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old. My 12-year-old has level 2 autism, epilepsy, and a whole host of behavioral problems. So my oldest actually is not biologically mine. I met him when he was 2 years old, so we've been together for 10 years now. However, when he was that age, I kind of noticed something wasn't quite right. He would point to things. He wasn't really able to say any words at all. The frustration with not being able to communicate was there. It was a very difficult way to start building a relationship. I love kids. They were my life up to that point, but I was encountering something I hadn't before, and that was very frustrating. So at age 4, we got him involved with the AEA. We started the testing. We started seeing what our options were. At that point, he was put into the school system and he started receiving public education services, which was, of course, a huge improvement on anything that we had had before. Age 6, he had his first seizure. Unfortunately, he was at school at the time, and we had had no previous indication of a diagnosis of epilepsy. That was very scary. We were so fortunate that it was a kindergarten visit day and there was an EMT at the school that was able to provide care for him and know enough to get him to the hospital for the care that he needed. At that point, we were heavy into medications because he was starting to show behavioral issues. So I'm going to read you a list of the different medications we've tried for both epilepsy and his autism ADHD. And I think that you'll recognize most of them. In our journey, we've been on guanfacine, Adderall, Ritalin, Clonidine, Focalin, Vyvanse, Intuitive, Concerta, Dilantin, Depakote, Lorazepam, Keppra, Diazepam, and clonazepam. We've been through all of those options within 6 years. My child's body has been so pickled, he literally did not get a cold until this last year. Well, you know, you want him to be in school, right? But maybe not necessarily under those conditions. So at age 11, my husband and I started talking. At this time,
I'm not trying to cut you off, but can you, we're going to operate under a time limit here because a lot of people are going to want to speak, I'm assuming, so if you can.
Yep.
I appreciate that, thank you.
At age 11, he was 65 to 70 pounds wet, and he wouldn't eat. So we decided to go the cannabidiol route. And I have to say that this was the most life-changing thing. Cannabidiol does not have psychotropic features. It does not make him high. We give it to him in the morning and at night. It has been a huge struggle to get this. We can't get it through mail order. We drive to Denver every few months to get this. We are Iowa primary caregivers, so we can legally carry this and not be in trouble. There was a legal struggle to get this, and at one point I was afraid I would lose my children. We need this alternative medication option. There are so many people that could benefit from it, even if it's just the children. I urge the council to look deep into this and consider getting this alternative medication option to Sioux City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No, seeing none. Well, let me say a few things first of all. This is not a matter of, I know there are people out there that are anti-drugs. Listen, nobody's as anti-drug as I am, okay? But here's the reality. This is a product that the state passed a law on because of taking out the effects that they don't want in the drug. Seems to me that would be better to be dispensed that way than to have full-blown marijuana that people have to go find somewhere else that they don't want to. About 3 years ago, I met with the governor and the mayor of West Des Moines, I think it's Mayor Gear, and his son suffers from some of the same conditions that you do. We weren't there to speak about this particular item, but he made a very compelling argument as to why we should have it in Iowa. And I have to agree, after listening to him and listening to you, and from some personal experience, I have a friend and a family member whose spouses, quite frankly, have to have this. Well, one we've lost, but it's the other one has problems that only this treatment has had any real positive impact on. So I'll take all the heat I'm going to take because I know I'm going to take some for voting for this today. I'm not stupid, but I saw relief for a family member that wasn't getting relief anywhere else. And it made that person do an illegal activity because he could not stand to see his wife suffer. I don't think that's right. If there's help to be had, I don't think it's right if it's legalized that we would not have it in Sioux City. So I'm going to vote yes today. And I understand a lot of you are not, and I get why. I do get it. But for me, it's the right vote because I don't believe I believe this product hooked, but I took them after I had a surgery, not even realizing they were opioids. And that bothers me that we can get people on opioids faster than we can get them on this. It bothers the heck out of me. So
I'm with the mayor. I took some notes here before I got here, and one thing I want to say is hemp oils contain only 3% THC, which that's what it's all about. It's not about a high. It's about a treatment. It doesn't cause a high. It's safe. It's less controversial alternative. While you're still offering the hemp oil itself, the other side of it is opioids, like the mayor said. That's a narcotic. Hemp oil is natural. There's a big difference, and I think that many people can benefit from this for sure. We just heard one story. There's anxiety, epilepsy, inflammation, glaucoma, chronic pain, MS. These are all things that could help a person out there if we had this in Sioux City and have it closer. And they're talking 5 locations in the state of Iowa. 5 locations, that's all. And Sioux City is one of their choices, but we as council, or we as each person on council, they want us to say that we would like to have it here. So if we decide that we don't want to, it won't be here because that's the way it is. So I am for it. I will sign any paper that I have to say, please, let's get it here because my people are important to me, and if it can help somebody, with chronic pain, it's an oil. It's not even a pill. It's not an injection. People think that they think it's a drug. It's not a drug that drug people want out there. It's natural. It's not a narcotic. Drug addicted people out there are looking for the buzz, the hype, the kick. This isn't what this is all about. So that's where I'm at. And also, it's state regulated. So that's another big deal here. So I can't see any reason why not. So
My question is this: what's the downside to having the dispensary? Why would the Iowa Department of Public Health say to the communities, if the communities are not open to discussion, then they're not going to issue a license in that community? What's the connection? I don't have enough background on this to. Why would they do that? Why would the department?
they're limiting it.
But they're limited to 5 locations. I get that, but what's the downside to having a dispensary?
I don't know.
Yeah, good question.
I haven't heard of.
I can tell you the argument that I've heard.
Okay.
Initially, I felt bad that, and disappointed is probably a better word, that the city wasn't informed long before now. We didn't, until I knew that you had received an email from a lobbyist in Des Moines, it was the first I was really made aware of it. And it seems to me, and the application period is due next week. No, yet this week. We're in this week
Wednesday.
now. Wednesday or Thursday, or I'm not, maybe the gentleman from the pharmaceutical company that was here knows the exact date, but I've heard the 6th and I've heard the 7th. And I think somebody said maybe it's even Thursday. But I think it's important that, well, first of all, I'm not sure that the council should be endorsing pharmaceutical companies, drugs, or any methodology. I believe that it works. I've read enough stories, and I believe every word the mayor said. I just think it's very important that the community get an opportunity to weigh in. I have, what limited time I had, had a couple of meetings along the way and talked to people. And I know one of the arguments that maybe a tolerance is developed for it, which would progress somebody to a higher drug or the need for a greater amount of THC.
Let me just interject one thing. It's 3% THC.
No, I understand that. I understand. No more.
the company that had talked to me, they said that theirs was 3%.
Yeah, well, I
THC, so.
spoke to that lobbyist for about a half an hour, and she told me there are 46 states in the United States that allow, I'm not sure I can say it correctly, cannabis
CBD,
oil.
just
CBD. And of the 46, 30 have no limits on the THC content. The other 16 states have no greater than 3%. So, and Iowa would be one of those. So that, I think you're right. But again, I'm just sharing what was shared with me, that a tolerance could be developed and they would need to move up. Now, I will also tell you, obviously, my background in law enforcement for a long period of time, I always found drugs, starting with marijuana, to be kind of a pathway drug, and it leads to greater involvement in the drug activities, and I know drugs cause crime and injuries and all kinds of things, and so maybe I'm skewed a little bit in my thinking. I want to be open-minded and understand that this is the potential to make life better for those who are inflicted with, a terrible, debilitating illness or disease. And if that's the case and it works, I'm happy that the state will be able to regulate it and make it available. Now, I understood from the lobbyists that they were the only one interested in Western Iowa, and that's why they wanted the letters of support. Maybe that's not the case. I was also told there were 72 letters of intent to, I assume, the Iowa Department of Public Health that indicated people were interested, and maybe now it's down to 22 companies are going to be involved in it. So they can have that battle. I don't object to the state making their decisions and where those 5 locations would be, but individually, I am concerned about a city council being directly involved in endorsing anybody having to do with it. And more importantly, I want more people to have the opportunity to share their input, and we really haven't had that opportunity to do that. And I know that with the applications being due in the next 2 or 3 days, it's going to be impossible to get that input there. But the majority of what I've heard has not been supportive, so I will not be supportive. I will vote no.
And
go ahead.
My question is just, and after this letter, say we say a letter or we're supporting it for a dispensary, then do they ever come to us again? Would it ever come when they want to open a building or open a business again?
Yeah, it has to go through planning and zoning, and then it comes to us.
It depends on where they would want to locate it and putting it in place in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, and that lobbyist that I spoke to told me, or the lobbyist I spoke to told me that she had already talked to P&Z people in Sioux City, and that we were appropriately, we would have a zone that would make it available for them, should that be the case. So.
Well, and I guess as far as where I am at is having a disability. I understand that taking the amount of medication that I take and see minimal relief from is aggravating. It's disheartening. And I know there are other states. I actually did all of my rehab in Denver. And so I know that there are other people that use other medicinal purposes for other natural substances to alleviate some of those things. I mean, I have spasticity. I understand it helps with spasticity, with appetite, with seizures, all of these different things. And so for me, I just see such a discrepancy and difference between terming it as a drug. I don't see it as a drug, especially with such limited THC. No one's utilizing this that I've heard, because I, like the mayor, I've heard a ton of personal testimony that, nothing has worked, nothing has happened, and I would argue some of the medication I'm on doesn't effectively work, right? But then you find something that does, and it's a breakthrough, and it's not that people are trying this to get high or that they're using it as a gateway drug. I don't see that connection, and that it's not doesn't have decades and decades of testing like some of our other things. But I agree with the mayor also in that at the point in which we legalize opiates and be able to have these and prescribe them as readily as our doctors seem to want to do, and that we allow alcohol and the amount that that's going to kill people every single day, I don't understand how we have such reservations about a natural CBD, a natural oil that can help some of these people that need this. And so signing a letter just saying that I support this, that I believe that we should have a dispensary as long as it's went and it's legal through the state. I see no reason why we as a community should not embrace that and allow these people that have these debilitating illnesses and just allow them some relief and some reprieve from maybe some of their symptoms and allow them to lead a more healthy and happy life. I mean, we heard about traumatic brain injuries just earlier today about competitive and integrative employment. I see some of these diseases and things where the CBD oil can be used to help allow them to have some of that peace of mind as well. And so that's why I will be supporting it. I would also, though, echo Pete's concern. Something that does frustrate me is the truncated timetable. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't like feeling like our back is against the wall to make decisions. I don't like that. And so, I don't appreciate that side of it. But I have heard multiple testimonies from people all over the state and actually all over the country leading up to this. So it's not the first time I've heard of it or the benefits. So that's why I feel comfortable voting tonight.
Pete, I appreciate and respect your point of view. And it dawned on me as you were speaking, I wonder if it had anything to do with the regulations that were eventually passed by the health department that put these companies behind the 8 ball, because I really don't want to think they've had notice of this for several months and then all of a sudden they come in
Well,
at the last moment to
MedFarm
ask
received
for the support.
license to manufacture back in December, so it's been at least 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes rules. I mean, remember the fireworks didn't get the rules until after the 4th of July.
That's true.
The state doesn't always do their.
And I don't want to minimize this. We're talking about a dispensary, but I'm just wondering if it's already legal in the state of Iowa. It's probably highly regulated, has to be under doctor's orders. There's all of that. Plus, the other thing I'm wondering is if we say no, which would reflect probably poorly on the people that use it legally. It's like any other substance. If it's used legally, we're okay. If it's not, then we've got the problems you're talking about, Pete. But I'm wondering if we say no, will they go to a community down the road,
Yes.
not too far from us?
Council Bluffs.
Or up the road.
They were
Or
looking
even
to-
a smaller community. I don't think they're limited by the
yeah,
population. But
I
I'm just
understand.
thinking out loud because there hasn't been enough time to really think this out and give it a thought process that our citizens deserve to have. And the worst we can do as a council is to make an uninformed decision. But again, I'm not hearing any real downside. I mean, you brought some good points up, but I'm not hearing any real true downside. I wish there would have been a connect between the Department of Health saying the communities have to vote it up or vote it down for these reasons. And if they're out there, I don't think anybody's presented those to us.
You know, the thing is, it would be a dispensary, and it would be people that would come to this dispensary with a doctor's prescription to get what they need. So it's not like a, drug addicted person is going to go into the dispensary and buy some oil, put under their tongue. I mean, that's not the way it works.
Yeah. I'm going to move the amendment, which is not supporting any one. We're just saying, okay, and I'll move that.
Second.
And to answer your question, they passed the rules back in May, but Nicole said the department just put the rules together sometime in January. Not surprising with the state, so call the roll, please.
On the amendment?
Yes.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin?
Aye.
Now on the regular motion. Do we have a motion on, well, obviously we.
The
Well,
motion
now,
is amended?
we vote on the amendment, now we have to vote on the regular motion.
Yes.
As amended.
Yeah, as amended.
And you may use your voting pens.
And again, I just want to make it clear as I vote no, that my main objection really is that there isn't enough time available for everybody to weigh in and to offer input as to what is appropriate and what, as far as their respect to our community, so.
That's fine.
No, I get it.
Passes 4-1. Mr. Griffin votes no. 17 is a resolution temporarily closing various streets and alleys in the historic 4th Street area, beginning at 3 p.m. June 14th and ending June 17th at 1 a.m. for the Awesome Bikers Nights fundraiser deferred from February 5th, 6th, and 26th in 2018. I'll move it.
Second.
Anyone to be heard? And we're going to be quick on this. So if not, we're going to vote. Because I understand you have an agreement. Do we have an agreement?
Well, I'd like to confirm that there's an agreement.
Yeah.
Is there an agreement?
Who handed us these papers now?
I don't know where it came from.
Hi.
Gene?
Jean Logan, 33299 Hickory Avenue, Sioux City.
Terry Douglas, 2940 Military Road. And yes, we have.
We got great news, right?
Yes, we have met with the owners of the Marquee, and we have an agreement to not have a beer tent, and they will participate in selling the beer and just give us a donation after it's over with.
Okay.
And so what you received this morning was what we received this morning. So you've been handed some amended language that, obviously our board chairman isn't here, he works out of town, that we believe that he would be willing to sign.
He would sign?
We believe that he would be willing to sign
As
the amended
changed in the
version.
red line, Jean?
Yes, as changed. And Julie also got a copy of this. Obviously, you know, hadn't seen this until this morning, so.
Is there anybody that is objecting to what is on the floor? All right, I'm voting.
I'm voting.
Well,
Thank you, council.
I would like to incorporate this agreement though, Mayor, into the minute, well, at least into the minutes, so that we have a record of it.
Well, that's fine. You can make that motion.
Because, well, let me tell you what, there's been a lot of criticism on both sides, and this is just my personal opinion, if I may, for a minute there. I think a lot of the questions, a lot of the issues that were discussed were in open forum, which is pretty unique for negotiations, for contracts. Normally, you do your contracts between the parties, and then you bring it to an open forum. This has been done in an open forum, and I've got a great deal of respect for both sides. I know that Awesome Biker Nights are saying we shouldn't have to go through this, but Sohos and M's, they're saying we shouldn't have to go through this. But it's still a process that I think everybody in the community is watching. And they want to know that you might not be exactly happy with the final agreement, but it's going to be an agreement that we can all live with and support each other, because this community, Sioux City, is way too small to have the continual discussion and disagreements going forward. I'm not going to say arguments, because I think bikers raised a lot of good points. Restaurants raised some excellent points as well. And there have been some things, there have been some missteps in the past, and I think that's been acknowledged. Has it been properly acknowledged? I'll leave that to the parties, but there's been a lot of missteps in the past. We want to try to avoid those going forward as well. And I personally, and I'll take some responsibility for this if I need to, Mayor, but I personally got involved with trying to get some kind of an agreement similar to what this is. And I know you might have just received it this morning, but it's a pretty straightforward, simple agreement. What I'd like to see is that we try to get past some of this and just get to the substance of what the agreement is. And I'm hoping Okay.
But the red line is what.
And Julie, you as well.
But my point is, I think it's, and you'll say I've been away this weekend for too long, but my point is, I think it's good to really talk about the issues, about your concerns. Julie, you've done a fabulous job telling me what your issues are, what your position is. It's been very clear. Bikers have done the same thing. So all I've been trying to do this past weekend, when it was really kind of awkward for me to do it, but Vernon Meyer, Dan Myers were great. Julie, you were on the phone. Brian Hall was on the phone as I was traveling back from a weekend that I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to do any city business. But this is important. It's important to bikers. It's important to you. And it's an event that really is spectacular. Julie, I think in some opening remarks you made a couple of months ago, you said, I can support this event, but it's got to have some rules and we've got to have some understandings and agreements about how it's to be handled, because you don't want to lose business, you don't want to lose money, and you want patrons to be able to use your restaurant and M's restaurant in the manner that those restaurants were designed to serve, the type of service they provide. And I just think we did a good job of clearing some of those misunderstandings. I hope we did to get to this agreement. I mean, I really have to rely on one of you or another of you to tell me, no, this is not what we want. But I think it's going to make the event stronger. At least that's where I come from as a council member. Will it make the event stronger? Will it make it successful? Will it make it successful for the restaurants so they're not losing money, they're not losing business, they're not being treated in a way that they shouldn't be treated because you're paying property taxes and you're trying to make your restaurants successful and work. And I think M's and Soho's, you've got a great deal of respect in the community, at least the emails I've received. You've got that respect. I think the bikers show that respect, but they really need to demonstrate it, folks. I think you will, but you got a plate full of issues that you have to deal with. Putting that together, organizing that is difficult, and it takes a lot of work. And I think that's what we've been doing in the past 2 weeks, past 2 months. I'm sorry I had to leave early last week. It wasn't anticipated that I'd have to leave that early before you even talked about the issues. But hopefully, this agreement that I think is valuable to both sides, and maybe that's just the lawyer in me coming out saying, well, let's put it in writing. You're not going to sell beer. You're going to put it in writing. We're not going to sell beer. You've reduced the fee to $1,000. We're going to put it in writing that you've reduced the fee. And I know some of you might argue, why would we have to put in that writing? Whatever happened to the days of the handshake, Dan? But it's in writing, so we don't have any misunderstanding going forward. There was something in here about where the businesses, the bars could vend. Could they vend anywhere on the streets or not? That's what you struck out of here that I can see. You want the vending needs to take place, if it takes place at all, right in front of the business. Right in front of the business under that liquor license. And you've taken out the part about the sublease. I'm not sure I follow that. All I see with sublease is that you have liquor licenses to deal with. But if a bar owner wants to sublease their business, that's separate and apart from what you're really doing as an event, I think. Unless I'm missing a point here.
Food is, Dan, they can't sublease a liquor license, I don't think, or alcohol license.
No, that's what I mean.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have to deal with the liquor license issues. But as far as sublease, let's just say I have a restaurant on Historic 4th Street, and I'm going to go away for 6 months, and Pete's going to come in and operate the restaurant.
That's a manager.
No, but I'm take over, have all the profits, just do everything for 6 months. I'm going to be on a safari in Africa. I do a sublease with you. That's why I read the sublease.
The other thing is a problem is if people are vending something besides alcohol, they shouldn't profit from it. They should profit from it. They're the ones putting on the event. So if I want to go down and sell leather jackets, I shouldn't be able to go to one of these merchants now and say, I'll give you $1,000 to and say, I'm going to sell leather jackets out front. Here's $1,000.
No, and I'm down on this point with the sublease. I'm just trying to understand the sublease aspect. I probably.
That's what it is. That's what they're talking about.
No,
They
that was up here where they could.
But it's gone now, right?
Where they could, pardon?
Sublease has been withdrawn? Yes.
The sublease part's been withdrawn, so that can stay in.
Okay, well, what do you need done here? Because I have spent 3.5 hours of my life on this, and if the parties are in agreement, no disrespect here, but
Let's
what are we
get
doing?
going.
Where are we going? Because I want to make sure
Well, if they're
that,
in agreement, I just want to make sure we incorporate the agreement.
Well, the agreement that has the red strikes out, were
Red
the
line,
points that we disagreed with and we struck them from the agreement. The one that's totally in black is the agreement that we would be willing to sign as it exists. So subleasing is off the table. Subleasing was part of article on a different participation form where we restrict any subleasing completely. So that's addressed on a completely separate participation form.
So we don't even need to address it, yes.
So will the operating agreement, part 3 of 3, be an addendum to the part that you put out?
Yes.
Okay. So all of these rules and regulations still apply?
Yes.
Okay. Just so I know where.
Yeah.
and as far as I'm concerned, they've stood at the microphone and said this is the agreement, but if somebody wants to make a motion that the agreement's part of this agreement, fine, make the motion, but let's figure it out.
Is there any other questions? Because it's really pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Andy, could you just state your name?
Andy Phillips, Hornick, Iowa.
So make your motion what you want included.
It's a so Andy, you're okay then with this agreement?
As presented.
Yes.
As modified, as amended, as
Yeah.
presented today
As
with the red
redacted,
language
as
struck
anything.
out.
Yeah.
And you will furnish the city clerk with a signed copy after it's signed?
Is that a requirement?
That's a question.
Well, is that what you want to vote on?
You make the motion.
Now, okay, so if we do that, I would like every merchant, because they're representing themselves as being the 4th Street District Merchants Association. I have no idea who that is. I know of 5, probably, but I don't know the rest of them. I know the Marquis told us at a meeting last week, they have never been in contact with anybody from.
Here.
Okay, I'm just.
Here, we only have the right, we're vacating a street, as Nicole just told us. That's all we have the right to do.
Yep.
So if you're uncomfortable that agreement won't hold, then you should vote no on the street closure, is what you're saying?
We can ask them to provide us with a signed copy to be part of the clerk's record. The council's vote is whether or not the council wishes to close the street or not.
How can I incorporate the agreement that was presented today into the minutes? That's all I want to do. By what I've done?
By what you've done and giving direction that we need an executed signed copy by all parties to be presented and kept in the clerk's records, which will be for a minimum of 5 years.
So Dan, as a lawyer, I'm asking you, do we need to know who the participants are of the historic 4th Street District? Because we don't.
No.
No.
You need to, whoever you have agreement with, you need to file them with the clerk.
I'm looking at Sohos and M's.
Okay. So should that?
Just like it's on the signature block.
Should the headings be changed to reflect that then?
Probably should be.
Okay.
Probably should be. It's with Sohos and M's.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, you're not saying that Historic 4th Street Business Owners is an entity in itself. You're just, that's what they are, and then you list the entities down below in the signature blocks, is the way I would read it.
So we need to find out who those entities are as an individual business owner?
No. The title.
You're saying it's just.
The title needs to be changed
I'm
to
saying
say,
Historic 4th Street business owners, number 1. Number 2,
Okay.
if
I
you're
just
only
wanna be-
concerned about these businesses, then that's all they have to furnish to the council.
Correct.
So it's Sohos and M's and
Nobody else.
All right.
As long as, I mean, all the other vendors seemed okay with it, yeah. That's,
So make a motion.
as far as the other bars and everyone, you know.
Well, the other bars are cool.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
the the ones I was concerned about was, do we need to get the antique store on, or do we need to get the med spa on? We need to list those guys. They were in vocal opposition to us. So should we?
We never heard from any of them.
Yeah,
they've never been at any meetings.
Okay, well,
Would you, could I take part 3 off of this and just list the 2 owners?
Personally, I think that's your business. I think we're voting to close the street.
Yeah.
Let's close the
All
street
right.
and.
Okay.
We got drawn into this too much to begin with.
Thanks, guys.
As long as the minutes will show the red line copy in the agreement. That's,
You have to make that motion.
well, no,
Doesn't he?
I've already addressed it with my comments.
Sure, the vote would be on just the street closure, but there's direction to have the agreement provided,
I'd like to vote on that.
to have,
Yeah.
to have it included in the, okay. Then that would require a motion to
I'll
add
make-
that.
I'll make that motion.
We've never voted on any agreement before.
But it's gonna die for lack of a second.
I'll second
I'll
it.
second, yeah.
Waters,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Greckin.
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Scott.
No, again, I think we came for a street closing, we ought to vote on street closings, and it's not our job to negotiate contracts, and I hope we all learned a valuable lesson about that. Next year, we vote on a street closing, yes or no?
Yes. And your voting panels to vote on the street closure to prepare. Yes.
It passes 5-0. Citizen concerns, are there any citizens to be heard? Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll go to council concerns. Mr. Gretkin.
I have a couple of issues here. Now, if I can find my paperwork. I wanted to, I was attended the Sioux Cares meeting last week, and the 2017 annual report was presented to the advisory board, and I just wanted to share some of these numbers. And in fact, I see Brittany here. If she wants to participate, you're welcome at any time, or you can let me ramble if you want. Okay. But Sioux Cares does a great job, and I will include the Mayor's Youth Commission as well. But some of the numbers they shared that I wanted to share with council and the general public is that the number of volunteer hours for the 2017, I believe this is a calendar year? Or fiscal? It's a calendar year. They had 412 volunteers that contributed 7,739 hours. The coordinated or participated in meetings aimed at reducing substance abuse, 209 meetings that they attended. And materials distributed, 18,402, again in an effort to reduce substance abuse, and positive youth development sessions, which may be right at the top of the list for me, 47 sessions to work with youth to bring out the importance of reducing substance abuse and making it to adulthood and having a successful life without the use of substance abuse or entering into the picture. So they do a tremendous job. I just wanted to acknowledge Sioux Cares and certainly all of the volunteers and people who participate. The city, as you all know here by the budget, makes a contribution, an annual contribution of $12,500. And I still haven't clarified the Mayor's Youth Commission, but I think that comes out of the police department's budget, but I'm not positive. I need to double check on that. So I wanted to share that. They're doing just a great job, and I know that they're a great group of people who will remain committed and continue to do that. The second thing I had was, all of you probably know Joe Twidwell. He's been, he's responsible in large degree to Joe recently, well, a couple of weeks ago, and then I saw him Sunday, or Friday, I think I saw him Friday. He asked for me to help participate in a planning session that will be facilitated by Deb Burnett. It'll be Deb Burnite, who does a great job. It'll be next week, but I will be gone and not able to. And he asked me when I saw him Friday if I could try to get another council member that might want to help participate. There'll be a planning session that'll be facilitated again to plan for in the future years, how to handle the warming shelter and potentially the day shelter, and he's looking for a little input and would like to have somebody.
When is that meeting?
I think I'll be able to tell you here in it's this next week. I'm not positive. I should have checked this ahead of time, huh? Well, I don't, I want to say Wednesday, but the 14th, but I can't confirm that. So I'll have to check with Joe.
Dan, I believe Chief Mueller's on that committee as well.
Oh, is he?
I'll find out.
Oh, okay.
I'll send out an email to all.
Great, thank you.
That's not all day, is it?
No, I don't. He didn't tell me the time-wise, the time limit on it, but I don't think so.
With meetings, and I might be the only council member, Pete, that feels this way, but if you go to a meeting, you're representing the council.
Yes.
I'll try to make it to as many meetings as I can, as you know. I think I'm pretty good about that.
Yep.
I've got a pretty good record. But there are meetings that conflict with other meetings, and there
Sure.
are commitments that you make ahead of time. And so, yeah, it'd be great to have 5 of us at all the meetings all the time, but it just can't, it won't happen.
No.
So I feel bad when people get upset with us because one of us or 2 of us might be there, but it's not like we're home, at least for me, and I'm home doing nothing. It's because of other commitments that were made.
And I figure when Alex is there, we're well represented. Why would we need anything
Yeah,
else?
That's what I
and I
That's
shared
one.
I shared those same thoughts in my reply to that letter we got last
As did
week.
I. I'm
As
sorry.
I
but-
did.
But I think in this case, Dan, he's only asking for one city council member to just participate to help for a planning session, future planning for.
Mr. Padmore will let us know what that date and time would be.
Okay, and I'll,
Because I know, Rhonda, you have a hard time too getting
I do,
away during the day.
yeah. If I know ahead of time, I can work around it.
and I guess I spoke to everybody about the Jackson Recovery Friends of Recovery banquet. So I think I'll drop that paperwork off to Jessica and see if we can get that worked on. And I will share another idea real quick. Tom Betts, I don't know if you all know Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I think you probably do.
He's a legend.
Pardon me?
He's a legend.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He's on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club. And they're making plans for the boys and girls during the summer months. He wants to work towards an arrangement, and I've already shared this with the city manager a couple weeks ago, and he offered some advice to maybe have Tom check with the chamber first, or not the chamber, United Way. But what they want to do is try to get the kids to help earn their way, although the boys club is only $10 a year, Boys and Girls Club. They still want them to have a vested interest in working to earn that and to have some responsibilities and discipline along the way. And what he was hoping for is maybe some support from the city council. And Matt's still with us? No, Matt left. And Angel can hear me say this, I don't know, but what they were planning on doing maybe was having the kids at the Boys and Girls Club during the summer help clean the trail system throughout the city. And they want their responsibility, so I just share that.
How many scholarships are they looking for?
He didn't say specifically. He talked more in general terms. There may be, I wanted to kind of see if there's any support or lack of, and I can share that with Tom.
I'm just thinking we probably could get some donations for that if you got a number.
Yeah. I think
there's some
he's
successful
probably,
law firms in town, and
I think he's thinking in the area of maybe
As well as
1,000 to
tax
1,500.
company.
dollars?
Yes.
Okay.
How many?
1,000 to 1,500, I think. And it put the kids to work. And if we had other ideas that maybe they could help, they're developing some, certain level of responsibilities, so.
I was
hopefully
one of the
this will-
judges for their scholarship.
yes.
And they're a bunch of great kids, and.
But
I
he
would
did
be-
mention that he knew several people on the board, and he was going to go down to United Way and meet with them, so that was a good idea. And I appreciate that, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah, there you go.
Doing that tomorrow night?
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, yes. And don't forget the NAIA
Tip-off event.
tip-off event.
gonna
Oh,
like-
which, I guess I'm glad you did that because
Sorry, couldn't help myself.
I think in the meetings list that Jessica sent out, it said Tyson Event Center, but on the tickets, it says Sioux City Convention Center, so I'm assuming it's
Yeah, I believe that.
the tickets
The banquet
at the
center.
convention center. Okay,
Right, yeah.
that's what the tickets say.
Oh, I thought it was at Tyson too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's roll here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm tired of these
I'm done.
2-hour meetings. I can't take it
You're
anymore.
not used to them.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Rhonda?
You need a doctor's prescription to.
I just sent Dan a note with some high-strength stuff.
I'm done. So-
Alex?
Let's see, one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I just want us thinking about it, whether, the city manager, Bob, if you could maybe talk, to Erica or the people at Tyson. One concern I have, and I think I voiced this before, I believe I did, maybe I sent an email, and I can follow up via email with Erica as well. But I do have some concerns about NAIA basketball. I think people are a lot more accustomed to bringing a large bag, or something large
They're
into
working
the
on that.
facility. And so as long as we're addressing it and understand that that's the case, I just don't want a lot of fans and people that come and support their teams that are used to bringing those in. I mean, if they have to search them or go through a metal detector, I understand. I just don't want them, similar to what the experience was at some concerts and stuff, to have to bring them back to the vehicle. And I heard some concerns about that, and I just wanted to put them forward.
I have my own solution to the problem, but they won't listen, so we'll just keep going.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to NAIA and hosting. We do a great job hosting, and I want to continue that tradition.
And I won't be able to say this tomorrow night, so I'll say it tonight, and go Bulldogs, but go ahead.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
you won't say it tomorrow night, they'll throw things at you.
Here's a reminder to all of us here. Tomorrow we have a meeting at the clock tower
Noon,
at noon.
joint meeting.
Yeah,
Historic Preservation
That's all,
Commission.
yeah.
Then move to the lower level.
Oh,
Lower level?
Yes.
Lower level,
okay.
noon.
Mr. Moore, do you have anything else?
I want to thank the mayor and the council for their great support this past weekend of my
Oh, I forgot.
activities and everything else I was doing, and I just got back into town minutes before this meeting. So
Oh,
if I
God,
seem
wait a
to-
Want to tell
minute,
us why
hold
you
it.
were just
Yeah,
getting into
No,
town?
no, we
I'm
gotta,
blinded.
I want to tell what his activities was. Are you guys ready for this?
Well, that's for him to
Sioux City
share.
Journal had it right on campaign night, but
Mr. Moore got married, you guys, Sunday.
He was gonna wait till September, but he just couldn't wait.
Yeah,
so-
well, she's a
Don't ask him
lovely
how
lady.
many
Her name is Mary Kay.
Don't ask him how many times.
you had it right. I couldn't keep up with you, so.
And we
I use that as a
approved,
proposal, by
didn't
the
we?
way.
Did we, Mayor? We all approved of her, so it's a good thing.
Well, I had stipulations that I hope he took my advice on, but
Most paralegal I've ever had.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi. You know what they used to
Aye.
do in the old NAIA
Aye.
arena when it was just.
All right, let's go get my, is that